Welcome to my show. This is AhMuse, and I'm Susan Rushton, and this is the show on which I'm delighted to, I'm thrilled to, I'm happy to, I'm eager to talk to people who have been lured in by the muses. In other words, artists, including musicians. And today my guest is Kaden Dayog. Thank you, Kaden, for joining me. Kaden plays viola for the Auburn Symphony. And before I go any further, I need to share with you information about the Auburn Symphony. Auburn Symphony. AuburnSymphony.com and the Auburn Symphony office at gmail.com. And that their office is at 985 Lincoln Way, Suite 102. 530-823-6683, and they are open Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you don't know where they are, if you don't know them, if you're not familiar with the Auburn Symphony, please learn about them. It's a fabulous organization, and I'm thrilled that they exist. And thrilled that I'm here while they exist. Okay, Kaden, you play a viola.
I do.
Thank you very much for joining me. Now, how long have you been with the symphony?
I would say I'm fairly new to the symphony. I've only been with the symphony for about a year now, I want to say.
Okay, and so we are at the moment. What is this? June 2024. So you've been around for a year. Tell me how you got involved with the symphony.
So I got involved with the symphony. I've actually been interested in the symphony for quite a while now. I grew up with playing for the Placer County Youth Orchestra as a youth musician from down in Rockland and Roseville, and then from there it was all this talk about Auburn Symphony, the next big step
That's
in a musician's life.
You really should think about the Auburn Symphony. Psst, come here, let me do it. Okay, yeah? Okay.
So I decided one day after I graduated my high school that I would go ahead and prepare some audition material, and take the next step forward to professional musicianship, the orchestras and all that stuff. And then I kind of got involved with Ryan and Patty, and they're all really nice people. And
so how did you get involved? What did that take? How many times did you play for them?
So
to get involved.
So I did my audition once, so it was a lot of back and forth emails, scheduling dates, getting things figured out.
Can't I? Yes, I can this time. Okay.
Please. And then after that, it was just nerve-wracking auditions, and then once it was over, they said they'd get back to me, and then I got an email saying
they did. Good. Did I hear you say it was nerve-wracking?
It was. Auditions are quite nerve-wracking, I would say. It's, you're put on the spot. You have to be at your very, very best to show them what you got. And then after that, it's kind of like a silent judgment to make sure that you're either in or maybe need some more work.
Yeah. And I guess so you were showing them that you knew what you were doing. You weren't playing with other people.
Could you repeat that?
When you were applying, were you playing with other people or playing just by yourself?
I was just by myself.
Yeah, and that's not what you're doing usually, right?
I am not, no.
Oh, yes, you really have to hear me. Okay, and so that was what they wanted. What you were doing was what they wanted. And now, why do you play the viola?
I play the viola, frankly, just because I love the instrument. I started out as a violin player, most violists do, and after many, many years playing violin for various ensembles, it was just kind of not my thing.
When you say many, many years, what do you mean?
So I started way back in 5th grade, for me it would be 2016. playing violin because some of my friends peer pressured me into doing it, and I was like, I want to give it a try with my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
So after doing that for a while, I was with the Placer County Youth Orchestra, like I mentioned earlier, and from there I just kind of looked at the viola section, the violas that they had there. I was a good friend with a viola player a long time ago, and from there, once middle school, high school hit, I made the change. I was deciding to switch to viola.
And what is it about the viola that draws you?
So the viola has a much deeper, richer tone. Since the viola is pitched lower than the violin, it's a lot more rich and beautiful. It vibrates a lot more and way differently from a violin, and that sound is just really beautiful when you can manage to pull it out of the instrument.
Wow. Okay. How many violas have you had?
I've only had a handful. I would say about 3 violas.
Okay.
There was one to get me started out with, a school instrument. Then I graduated to a bigger size, and then after that, once I grew a little bit more, I'm at my current viola now, which is much, much bigger than when I started.
Where did you find it?
I found it through a private, like a more private dealer of stringed instruments. Her name is Michelle Yu, and she decided that she wanted to get me into a bigger viola because she was saying I was ready to graduate to a bigger size. I was outgrowing my instrument. So it was a lot of back and forth between her to get me transferred from that smaller instrument to the current one that I have.
Is it harder or easier to play a bigger viola?
It is definitely harder. So at first you may not notice the difference. For me, I didn't really notice the difference at first, but once you do it for a while, you can notice the weight, the size is different, your arms are stretching a little more. But at the end of the day, what the bigger violas have are that richer, more beautiful sound. They ring longer, they sound better. It's like listening to a person sing. It's a really good experience.
Wow. You're in love with this instrument.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Have you named it?
I have named it.
What?
Unfortunately.
You're the second person in 20 years.
Yes.
that I've had.
This is very embarrassing, but I do name all my instruments.
Oh, okay. Would you mind telling me what the name is?
Of course. Its name is? I named my viola Mia.
Mia, M-I-A.
Yes, I named my viola after the people that inspire me to play instruments. So the violist a long time ago at Placer County Youth Orchestra, her name was Mia, and she was really the first influence that I've ever had. So I just decided I would dedicate that to her for that.
Oh my. Oh, well, I think I'll stop here for a little bit. No, I love that. I just love that. It makes this instrument real.
Yes.
Yeah. Not only a real instrument, a person for you. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What's the toughest part about playing a viola?
I would definitely say the size. I definitely think when you're playing a violin or you're playing a cello or like a flute, for example, they're built with the person's health in mind. So when you're holding up a violin, it's much smaller. If you're holding up a cello, you're not really holding a cello. It's more on the floor, right?
You're leaning on it.
Leaning on a cello.
Or it's leaning on you. Yeah.
So when the viola was invented, they just took a violin and they enlarged it a little bit. So it does make it a little bit awkward at times to reach all the way out or to get a certain sound from it.
Okay. So show me how far out.
So for my viola, which is about a 16.5 inch, which is around the average size, my arm's usually full extended. If not, there's a little bit of a bend. Where when I'm playing violin or I'm doing stuff with violin, my arm's going to be closer to my body because smaller instrument, everything's closer together.
Yeah.
So when I'm out with my viola, it does put a little bit more strain on the arm, strain on the neck.
Huh. Okay.
But it's really, after a while, you kind of get used to it. It's part of the process.
Sure. Okay. So you also play violin?
I do. I teach violin over in Lincoln.
You do?
I do.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for a couple of years now. I want to say about a year and a half.
How many students do you have?
I have around, at this moment, I have around 12 or
Good.
13.
Good for you. Do you want to share that information? Do you want to share how if somebody wants to learn about violins?
Of course. If you're always want to know more about violin, I do teach at Tamerloo Studios over in Lincoln. It's, again, Tamerloo Studios. Go on their website, tamerloo.org.
How do you spell that?
TAMRLOO.
TAMRLOO.
Tamerloo. And there's a TAMRALO. Oh, there we go.
TAMRALO.com.
Yes, and if you
Okay.
can't find it there, just look it up on Google and it'll do the rest for you.
Okay. Tamerloo.com. Tamerloo. What in it? Well, so what's the age level?
So I teach all ages. So my youngest student, she's adorable. She's around 6. She just turned 6 years old. So getting started, very basic stuff, just learning how to hold the instrument, things like that. And then my oldest student is around 43.
Ah.
So we have all ages. They're all great. All excited.
No, you
to
don't.
learn.
You don't have all ages. 43 is not terribly old. But yeah. And how did they find you?
I've heard back some feedback, and I think they find me very, very energetic, very personable. So while we can learn violin, of course, it doesn't hurt to also be energetic, supportive of that as well.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's like learning to ride a bike. It takes a little bit of time.
Yes, yes. And being convinced that you can do this, I can do this, I can, as long as I do it.
Of course, yes.
I just need to do it. Okay. How long? You said you were interested. You got interested in the violin in 5th grade.
Yes.
Were you interested in music before?
I wasn't really interested in music at all, I will be honest. So I almost didn't pick up music in the the concert band at my 5th grade. I almost didn't do it. It took a lot of convincing from my friends and family to just give it a shot, see where it takes me. And then after that, it was kind of very exponential from there. It was lessons and then orchestras, and then I just kind of really fell in love with everything.
Okay.
Everything orchestra.
Yeah, and so when you teach, you remember how it was for you.
Oh, yes.
I can't do this. I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I can.
Yes.
Look at this. Look at this. Look. Okay. Why do you believe music is important?
Music unites.
Unites.
So the most important thing about music is that it is for everybody. Even if you're not interested in playing an instrument or having anything to do with an orchestra or rock band or any kind of musical group, it's still something that brings people together regardless of your background, of where you live or who you are. It's something that brings everyone together, and especially this day and age where everyone's trying to butt heads with each other, it does it does help to have music bring us all back together at the end of the day.
This is something you have thought about and
yes.
talked to people about.
Yes.
Under what circumstances?
I haven't had a lot of musical people in my family or close friends, or I haven't had a lot of people that seem to want to be in the same room together, just kind of like button heads and stuff. And then when I go and work with the Placer County Youth Orchestra, which I'm still a part of, I love to help bring people together and help them realize that there's not much of a difference between you and the person next to you. We're all here to do the same thing. We all are here to accomplish the same goal, and it really helps, even if you're in the audience or you're in the ensemble, it really helps unite all of us together.
Ah, you hear that? You hear that? And then Phil is agreeing with you. How nice! How nice! That's lovely, especially now. Yes. Thank you.
Of course.
That's lovely. And so, do you play with the Placer County Youth, or do you direct, or what?
I do. I'm around places. So sometimes I will come in as a guest conductor and conduct for them and guide them along pieces that they've been working on. Other times I fill in as a bassoon player.
Bassoon.
Yes.
What else do you play?
I play bassoon, and I used to do clarinet, and then I stopped doing clarinet because of life and all these goals.
Okay.
You can only master so many,
Yeah.
but bassoon is the hidden one that I do
The
on the
hidden
side.
one. Okay. You don't tell many people. Okay. Why the bassoon?
I honestly love the bassoon a little bit more than the viola.
Really?
Guilty pleasure.
What's the name of your bassoon?
My bassoon's name is Sophia.
Sophia. Okay. I love that. Okay. And you say that music is important because it brings people together.
Yes, and especially when you can help people realize that they have talent and that their talent can be put to good use, it really helps boost their emotions, their positivity, and helps boost everyone else's, and it really just helps to form this melting pot where everyone can just work together and do the things that they must do.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you are currently at American River College,
I am.
and you are studying music and business.
Yes.
Once you're finished, American River College, is that the 2-year thing?
Yes, that's
Okay.
a community college.
Community college, and then where?
I'm hoping to transfer to Sac State
Okay.
to keep studying music and then also have some sort of business degree as well, so I know what I'm doing in the real world, but my real passion is for music.
Yes. Okay. And so you plan on continuing to teach music, continuing to play music, and to figure out what will you do with business?
So business side will kind of be more of the paperwork stuff that no one really wants to do. I'll be honest, I'm speaking from personal experience here. And checking the bills and all that. But the important thing is music gets you far away, but you also have to have structure. So whether if you're with an ensemble or you create an ensemble or want to run a business, it's always important to know your way around some paperwork and stuff. So I feel like that was pretty important to me, to kind of want to be able to not only teach and do what I love to do, but also to be able to
Serious.
to get in.
Serious.
Yes.
Yes. Music gets you far away. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Gets you far away. Would you explain that?
So
I just did, Susan. That's what we. But please explain.
of course. So when music gets too far away, it really takes you into like a happy place. For most people, it does. So whether I am playing viola for Auburn Symphony, or I'm doing bassoon for American River College or Placer County Youth Orchestra, just being able to sit there and play out your part and have a cohesive section really makes you feel better, like more away, less stressed about things. You can just be in the moment playing your music, and it really sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's lovely. Now, I've talked to several musicians, and there's this problem with making mistakes. And as a writer, writing is easier than playing music, because I have to go back to that. That's not the right word I want, but I'll go back to that. I've put it in red and go back. Am I right? Am I correct when I say that if one works very hard not to make mistakes, in other words, one practices over and over and over, but do you admit that you probably are going to make a mistake?
Oh yes.
Yes. Okay.
They happen very often, but the important thing is to remember that when you're making mistakes, you have to embrace them. So
Say that again. It's important to know that when you make mistakes, what?
When we make a mistake, either as a musician or as a writer, we have to embrace them, because if we just say, "Oh no, I wasn't wrong. That was something else." Something else.
Yes,
then,
I did make a mistake. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Yeah.
Then you actually get farther when you trip over that rock and you fall down, and you recognize, well, I just fell. I have to get back up now because I can't sit on the floor for the rest of it.
Right. Yeah.
So embracing those mistakes and then learning from them and then moving forward with that knowledge in mind really helps us learn and go a far way, especially when we're in groups such as Auburn Symphony.
Yeah. You figure you might make a mistake, but you can't hold on to it because here comes more music.
Yes.
Yeah.
You gotta keep going.
Yes.
So embrace it, but you can't stop. You just gotta keep going with the current, because the music, even if you as an individual make a mistake, the ensemble's still going. So we just have to move past it and just keep going.
Okay. Do you have favorite musicians?
Favorite musicians, not particularly.
Okay.
So I would say I love ensemble work and stuff. So Leonard Bernstein, conductors like such as that. Also Ryan Murray with Auburn Symphony, excellent conductor. I love him to death. So there are a few, but there aren't exactly certain people I look up to. It's kind of more around the ensemble,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay. What is the difference between playing with musicians and only playing with musicians and playing to a group?
So playing for a group and then playing with only musicians as an audience, you mean?
Yeah, audience. Yeah.
There's a clear difference in what is preferred to be played in the orchestra and stuff. Is that, for example, at Auburn, there are a few concerts where we do play for musicians, so that would be our more classical concerts where it's more geared towards what the orchestra is doing. So that would be, Brahms, Beethoven, things like that, that musicians in the audience and even in the orchestra can appreciate the skill and time it takes into that. And then playing to an audience that are less involved in music it's more of a different thing. We have to play more mainstream stuff. Or we prefer to play more mainstream stuff. And this goes for any group because they can relate to, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, things like that.
Okay.
So when we're playing to an audience, they appreciate more of what's going on the stage and then the sound that's being produced out to them.
Yeah. Okay. And you say you play for other musicians?
I do, yes.
Under what circumstances?
So usually it's for college recitals, things like that, where I'm being judged, but other times it's for small groups when you're doing quartet work or you're doing something in an ensemble where there's other people that are like-minded, such as yourself, and it really helps to play back and forth with that.
Okay. Tell me some advice you have for beginning musicians.
The biggest advice I would have is to never give up. This may sound really basic, heard a million times, but it's very trying at the beginning. When I was starting out in ensemble work, it was very hard to keep going at first because you get thrown into a lot and it can seem overwhelming at first. But what you have to recognize is that if you keep going and you just keep trying at it, doing what you can, then that will definitely help you in the long run.
Do you have people, not musicians, the guys who create music? Do you have preference? Do you have your favorites?
Such as composers?
Yes, composers.
So I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I think they're all pretty good. But if I had to pick a few of them, it would be Rachmaninoff, it would be Shostakovich, it would be even Stravinsky, even though he's kind of out of left field sometimes. It's still some pretty good music to hear and listen to and see how far we've come and things like that.
Okay. Are you thinking about creating your own music?
I have done a few pieces of music for orchestras in my life. I wouldn't say it's my main focus, but it is nice to be able to make music for a group and have it be played and see what you can learn from it.
And when you say that, I mean making different. This is what the violin will play. This is what bassoon. Writing stuff for all those instruments.
Yes. So
Oh, geez.
I'll put it into a program and I'll say, I want a solo here, or I want the ensemble to play this here, and then it'll either sound amazing or it'll either sound like crud.
We'll just see.
Process. Exactly, and then we'll go back and fine tune it and things like that. And then it's nice to be able to put that part in front of the musicians and then have them take a look at it and play it back to you. It's a unique experience, and I don't think it's many that other musicians get, or at least no other violist get that often.
Okay. Do you know many other people who write music?
Not on a personal level, I do not. There was a violin player that I knew from American River College Orchestra that was a film composer, conductor, things like that. He was a cool guy. His name was John. But besides that, I'm not familiar with too many composers on a local level.
Okay. Okay. I can imagine that, well, I'm thinking only about myself. All I do is write, and what you do when you write is write for this instrument and then several others.
Yes.
Which appalls me. I'm impressed and envious. That's wonderful. Okay. So this is Kaden Dayog. Dayog? Yes. And you're 19 years old. Kaden, I've had a lovely time, and he plays viola, among other things, but he plays viola for the Auburn Symphony, and again, auburnsymphony.com if you want to learn more, and of course you do, and you can get them auburnsymphonyoffice@gmail.com, or go drop by 985 Lincoln Way, Suite 102, Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., or give them a call, 530-823-6683. And in September, I can't remember when it is. September what? Do you remember?
I do not.
Okay. In September, there's a free production at School Park Preserve. Yes, thank you. School Park Preserve, that's free. And it's a lot of fun. And I am always chills. I always get chills listening to you guys. And it's a thrill. And I'm gratified that we have the Auburn Symphony in Auburn. Well, Kaden, thank you very much for being my guest. I've had a wonderful time, and it's a pleasure to meet you and talk with you.
You as well.
Thank you. And thank you. I'll see you again.